What's up guys, Groovy Guitar Dude here with a beginner guitar tutorial for My Future by Billie Eilish. If this video helps you out, hit that like and subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments below what are the songs by Billie Eilish that you want to learn on guitar. Guys, the first thing that you want to know to play My Future on guitar is that in order to get rid of some bar chords and keep this song as beginner friendly as possible, we're going to capo up to 3rd fret. And if you don't have a capo, I'll have a link to get this capo for free right up here. The next thing that you want to know to play My Future on guitar is the structure of this song. We're going to start out with a verse, then go to pre-chorus, then chorus, then verse, pre-chorus, and one last chorus to take us out of the song. And the last thing that you want to know before we dive into My Future is the 8 chords that we need to play this song. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not as complicated as it seems. Just bear with me. The first chord you're going to need for this song is going to be a C major 7. The next chord is going to be a C7. The next chord is an F major 7. The next chord is an E minor. The next chord is an A minor. The next chord is a G. The next chord is a D over F sharp. And the last chord is going to be a bar chord, but I will have a beginner way to play this in the pinned comment if you need it. The last chord is going to be an F minor. And again, I will have a beginner way to play that in the pinned comment, as well as chord charts for all the other chords for those of you who need them. And with all that in mind, guys, let's dive into My Future. Man, this song is a lot of fun to play. It does have a lot of chords, but I promise it's not as complicated as it seems. So let's dive into this one. First thing that we're going to take a look at is the chord progression and strum patterns that we're going to be using for our verses and our choruses. We're going to have one chord progression for both of our verses and our choruses, but we're going to have 2 different strum pattern options, but we'll get there in just a minute. The first thing we'll take a look at is our chord progression. So our chord progression for our verses and choruses is going to go C major 7, C7, F major 7, and F minor. And again, I will have a beginner way to play that F minor in the pinned comment if you need it. So that's going to be our chord progression for all of our verses and choruses. And we're just going to repeat that through all of our verses and choruses. So a minute ago, I mentioned that we're going to have a couple different strum pattern options for this, but the chord progression for our verses and choruses is going to be the same through the whole song. What I mean by that is that the first verse and the first chorus is going to be just single down strums for each chord. And then the second verse and the second chorus is going to be something different. We're going to get to that second verse and second chorus here in a minute, but first let's take a look at that verse 1 and chorus 1 single down strum pattern. So this is really simple. You guys know what single down strums look like, but let's walk through this real quick. So we're going to start here first with our C major 7. We're going to give that a slow and pretty down strum, and we're going to let it ring out a little bit. Just like that. From there, we're going to go to our C7, and same thing there, just single down strum, let it ring out really pretty. Then next, we're going to go to that F major 7, same thing here, just single down strum, let it ring out. And then same thing for our F minor as well, single down strum and let it ring out. And we're just going to repeat that, what we just played, a couple of times for our verse 1 and our chorus 1. So again, single down strums aren't too terribly complicated. You guys probably already know what that looks like, but a couple of times through that verse 1 and chorus 1 chord progression with that verse 1 and chorus 1 single down strum pattern, without me talking, will look about like this. So that's what our verse 1 and chorus 1 are going to look like. For our verse 2 and our chorus 2, we're going to have the same exact chord progression, C major 7, C7, F major 7, and F minor. So same chord progression that we just played, but we're going to have a different strum pattern for each one of those chords, because after the first chorus is when the song picks up into that more funky, almost kind of jazzy kind of vibe of the song. I would say funky is a good word for it because it's a cool kind of funky feel. But the song definitely picks up from there, and we have a more involved strum pattern to reflect that. So the strum pattern that we're going to be using for each chord is this. We're going to start with our C major 7 here as our example. What we're going to play for each chord is we're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, twice for each chord. So it'll look about like this. We'll go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Just about like that for each chord. And it gives it kind of that funky feel, and it definitely picks up and matches up perfectly with this song. So a little walkthrough of what that's going to look like with that whole chord progression is about like this. Again, starting with our C major 7, that's our first chord in this song. We're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And that's just going to repeat a couple of times for our verse 2 and our chorus 2. So guys, a couple of times through that verse and chorus chord progression with that strum pattern that we're going to be using for verse 2 and chorus 2 will look about like this without me talking. And from there, guys, the only other thing that you need to know to play My Future on guitar is what we're playing for our pre-choruses. And again, for our pre-choruses, we're going to have two different strum patterns, one for our first pre-chorus and one for our second pre-chorus. But again, we'll get to there in just a minute. Let's take a look at this chord progression first. Our chord progression for our pre-choruses is going to be E minor, A minor, G, D over F sharp, F major 7, and F minor. You notice that some of those chords actually have stars next to them, and the reason that some of those chords have stars next to them is because the starred chords are going to be played for a half measure. If you don't know what that means that those chords are just going to be played for half as long as all of the other chords. That'll make a little bit more sense when we go through our strum pattern here in just a second. So guys, for our first pre-chorus, we're going to do the same thing as we did for our first verse and our first chorus. We're going to have a single down strum for each one of those chords. Now, we do have those half measure chords there, so that gets a little bit interesting, a little bit different, so let's walk through this chord by chord. We'll start with our first chord. It's just an E minor here. Same thing here, we're just going to give a slow, pretty down strum. Just like that. Then we're going to go to our A minor, which is our first starred chord, which we're going to be playing for half a measure. In this situation with the single down strums, all that means is that we're going to be playing and holding out that A minor for half as long as we hold out all of our other chords. So again, we'll do our E minor here as our example to show you kind of about the length, about what we're going to hold out all the other chords for. We'll go E minor, and we'll go A minor, And we're pretty quickly out of that A minor into that G, which is also a half measure chord. So again, we're not going to hold that one for very long. And then we're going to switch to our D over F sharp, which is a full measure. So real quick, before we go any further in this chord progression and strum pattern, let's walk through that one more time a little closer to full speed. So we'll start with our E minor. We'll go E minor, then A minor, G, D over F sharp. And then we'll hang that D over F sharp out again. And then from there, we're going to go to that F major 7. Same thing, down strum, real long and pretty. And then F minor, same thing, down strum, real long and pretty. Just like that. So for our pre-choruses, that's what's going to repeat for the first pre-chorus, is we're going to have that chord progression with those slow down strums. And again, the only thing you really got to watch out for there is just making sure that on the A minor and the G, you're in and out of those chords pretty quickly because they're half measure chords. So again, guys, you know what single down strums look like, but a couple of times through that chord progression with that pre-chorus 1 single down strum pattern will look about like this without me talking. And guys, all that's going to leave us with is what we're playing for our second pre-chorus. For our second pre-chorus, we're going to have the same exact chord progression that we had for our first pre-chorus. So again, E minor, A minor for a half measure, G for a half measure, D over F sharp, F major 7, and F minor. Same chord progression that we just had for our first pre-chorus. But again, we're going to switch up our strum pattern for this to reflect that more funky kind of beat that comes in at the second half of the song. So for all of our non-starred chords in our pre-chorus, we're going to have the same strum pattern that we used for our verse 2 and chorus 2. So that same pattern, here's our E minor as an example, is going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, just like that. Or down, up, down, up, twice for each chord. That's going to be for all of our non-starred chords. For all of our starred chords, we're going to be playing down, down, up twice. So down, down, up, just like that for the A minor and for the G. So let's walk through that really slowly to make sure that you got all the right stuff in all the right places. So we'll start with our E minor here. This is going to be a little slowed down, but we will walk through at full speed in a minute as well. So we'll start with our E minor here. For our E minor, we're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Then we go to our A minor. Down, down, up, G, down, down, up, down, up, D over F sharp, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, F major 7, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, F minor, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And we're going to repeat that for each of our pre-choruses, just like that, but of course sped up. So guys, a couple of times through that pre-chorus chord progression with that pre-chorus 2 strum pattern, or those pre-chorus 2 strum patterns, without me talking and full speed, will look about like this. Guys, that is everything that you need to know to play My Future on guitar. As always, if you have any questions, you can hit me up in the comments down below. I'm usually pretty quick getting back to those. And again, if this video helped you out, hit that subscribe button. I have about 750 other guitar and ukulele lessons on this channel, and I usually try to post at least 3 to 5 new lessons every single week. So if you're learning guitar or ukulele, there cannot be a more perfect channel for you to check out. Guys, if you want to see where I'm traveling right now, what songs I'm jamming on, or pictures of my dog, you can hit up my Instagram at @thegroovyguitardude. Link for that will be in the description below. And lastly, guys, if you want to support the channel and get your name in the credits at the end of each new guitar tutorial, you can hit up my Patreon at patreon.com/thegroovyguitardude. Link for that will be in the description below as well. Guys, I'm a little late on this one. Usually when Billie Eilish comes out with a new song, I try to get it out to you guys as quickly as possible because I know that you guys love learning her songs. This one I was a little bit late on. I actually didn't notice it was out until a few days ago. I guess I missed the release. And I heard it and I was like, man, this is actually... So my initial reaction to the song is I listened to kind of the first half of it and I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like another vibey, kind of like somber feeling Billie Eilish song, which is kind of a lot of them. But whenever you get into that second half of the song where it picks up, it's actually this kind of cool, funky rhythm thing, and it's really fun to play. The first half of it is kind of those single down strums. It just is very, very chill, very somber. It's got those seventh chords in there, so I'm like, okay. But then when I listened to it again, really listened to it all the way through, and it picked up in the back end of the song, I was like, this is cool. It almost is divided right in half between that really slow, somber Billie Eilish style that a lot of her songs kind of have, and then it kind of picks up into this kind of new funky feel that, I don't know, it's cool. I like it. It's a little different for a Billie Eilish song, and the more I've listened to this one, the more I've started to like it. So the trickiest thing about this song is that there's a lot of chords to remember. There's 8 chords in this song, but because there's only really 2 chord progressions, it's not too bad. And once you get that strum pattern down for the second half of the song, that's kind of that funky, more up-tempo strum pattern, once you get that down, it's actually not too terribly difficult, because once you get those chord progressions down, they pretty much repeat through the whole song. It's not a ton to remember, it just seems like it because there's a lot of chords. But guys, I had a lot of fun learning this song. I hope you guys have a lot of fun learning it as well, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see y'all soon.